Well, that's a little something new. Anyway, welcome out there to my program. Always a pleasure to be here. Always happy to have you out there listening. We've got some very important issues to discuss with the panelists tonight. I have the regular panelists. They show up like clockwork. They've been out there investigating for the last 3 weeks all the major issues in the city of Fall River. And some of the major issues are, well, we're going to take up one of them first. If you read the New York Times, or if you watch the national news the other night, 6:30, there was a big report about, lo and behold, Amazon. And as you know, we've been told Amazon is coming to town, and it's the greatest thing since grapefruit juice. But the report was saying that people who work at Amazon up to 80 hours per week. And I'm just quoting basically what I heard over the news, national news. Cutthroat atmosphere. Don't ask for a day off because you might lose your job. And right from the mouths of prior high executives at Amazon, people, it's not uncommon to see them crying at the desk because they've been reprimanded for a minor thing. So, Amazon, what is going on? I mean, we've been told for the last 6 months or so, longer, that Amazon is going to be a great thing for the city of Fall River.
The time warp has come back. We are back to the 1800s when the mills had the slave labor. And that's what we're going to get with Amazon now, it looks like. And you know, what gets me is that when I broke this story, following the New York Times story, I broke it in the Fall River area because we wouldn't talk about it in Fall River. Shortly after I broke it, it was on the NBC News, the CBS News, and I got blamed.
So they picked it up from you?
No, they picked it up from the New York Times, just like the rest of us did. And they blamed me being so negative. I single-handedly destroyed Fall River. But you know, this is a story that's out there. And Jeff Bezos is proud of the fact that he created the management style of Amazon. To the point that their management style at Amazon, they took a woman who suffered breast cancer, had started treatment, and they turned around and they reprimanded her for not producing and forced her to sign a performance improvement plan or she'd get fired. So she's undergoing chemotherapy, and if you don't do your job, you're out of here.
Bob, Amazon?
Well, you know, I hate to disappoint Jeff, but he didn't invent this style. There were some people, especially one note in the 1800s, his name was Jay Gould. He was a man who has been quoted oftentimes with his attitude toward workers, and I think he was the one, I believe, who said that I treat the workers in my factory like the machines. I use them until they break down, and then I cast them out into the street. Well, you know, big business, you know, has always had this attitude. That's the reason that the workers, middle class is gone in the United States, because they go anywhere they can get people to work for nothing. And if they could reinstitute slavery, they would. You know, that's the reality. And, you know, but this is another thing about Fall River. It's kind of like anything that comes to Fall River is immediately the greatest thing in the world. It's going to save the city. And the problem is the city is in such dire straits, they continue to grasp at straws. And even if Amazon wasn't a horrible employer, which it is, as is, you know, Walmart had a lot of complaints. CVS is a horrible company. I was talking to a woman today whose daughter works at CVS, and her daughter's gotten UTIs because they wouldn't allow her to go to the bathroom. You know, they threatened to fire her, and they complain about CVS and Caremark, and you know, this is prevalent. But you know, again, this is a symptom of Fall River, that anything that they think is coming here that'll give them 2 jobs, all the clowns jump on the bandwagon and say, this is the thing that's going to save the city.
Dan, Amazon coming to town, And it seems that the Fall River Office of Economic Development is taking a lot of
Disaster.
credit
Destruction.
for it. But yet, on the other hand, was Amazon coming anyway, and all they did was lay out the red carpet in regards to the TIFs, all the tax breaks?
Well, you know, this is the second, third, fourth. This was supposed to be the alleged savior to Will Flanagan in the midst of the recall. It didn't work then. This got reborn with the Sutter administration. Half the jobs alleged to be created. I was never convinced it was coming here when it was a ploy to divert from the recall of Flanagan. I'm not convinced it's coming now. Ken Fiola has been a disaster for the last quarter century in this community, and I'm not convinced it's coming.
All right, let's move along in a different direction, in the sense that also for a long time there's been talk about a tourist director.
Oh my heavenly Father.
We're going to the bishop for a blessing on that one.
I'm not making it up. A tourist director and marketing director. Now, we have the Office of Economic Development,
Destruction.
and they're supposed to do the marketing for the city. And a tourist
They
director
do the marketing for Kenny Fiola and his wife.
has been talked about for a long time also. But the fact of the matter is, there aren't many tourists that actually come to the city of Fall River. Where would a tourist director direct them to go to? Some of the places in Fall River just do not exist anymore.
I'd send him to Newport.
So, but this talk keeps going on. What seems to be, Bob, what seems to be the, city officials walking around with blindfolds?
Well, either that or they're on hallucinogenic drugs, because the fact is that, listen, we've said this time and time again. Look, you can get some, you can try to market the city a little bit, depend on maybe getting a tourist or two in, but that's not a viable industry for Fall River. The first thing you have to do if you're a businessman is look at the viability of your business. If you're trying to sell $50 steaks in Fall River, your business isn't going to last very long. You look at the demographic. Well, I've said it time and time again. Fall River is between Newport and Cape Cod, the two largest tourist destinations in southeastern New England. So Newport has hotels. It has the 12-mile drive. It has the mansions. It has the Tennis Hall of Fame.
It has a beach.
It has a
Fall River has 7 miles.
Beaches. Get it right, beaches.
Plural.
Fall River has
beaches.
7 miles of waterfront and not one beach.
Yeah, and Cape Cod is all beaches fundamentally, and yet the thing is, it's the
So if you're
Kool-Aid,
going to the beach
Pablo.
today, if you announce to some of your friends, I think I'm going to be going to the beach today, they automatically know you're leaving the city of Fall River.
Exactly.
Either that, if you say you're going to the beach with the clam shack that serves clams that got toilet paper on them, it's in Fall River. So the fact is that, listen, like I said, this is what's wrong with the leadership of Fall River. They're not realistic. You work with what you got. You got a blue collar town. You bring in blue collar industries. If they're trying to make this, although they hate it, but they're trying to make it like Newton, but we won't have the tax rate Newton has, and we won't have the other facilities.
We'll be
but
higher.
they use all these promises and these grandiose promises to just, make the people, divert the people's attention from the fact that, listen, we're second from the bottom in household income. We have the second highest number of people living below the poverty level. And now we went from 2002 to today, where our retirement fund was 80% funded to now it's 40% funded, because the city of Fall River put in $88 million less than New Bedford did into their retirement system. And they're even destroying our retirement system. We are on the road to destruction. And they categorically, they not only refuse to say it, they're feeding people so much propaganda that it's propaganda pablum washed down with BS Kool-Aid.
Okay.
And the problem.
We got a lot of issues, and
There's always a lot of issues in Fall
so
River.
let's get to the one that has been swirling around on people's minds for a while, and that's the CPA.
Ah!
Now, there was the columnist for the Herald News wrote a very, you might say, scathing article.
Oh, is that the credible journalist at the Herald News?
In regards to the distribution of the money.
You mean the North End, the North End beleaguered groups?
The North End got the most of the money, 90%, 95%
Yep, 90%
of the money. That's all that money, he said, went west of Bedford Street. That the South End got very little, if if nothing.
You got $100,000 to save a chimney.
$100,000 to save a chimney. Now that's.
I don't know that's going to be
But the
destroyed.
bubblers in the ballparks don't work all that well. Community, or you might say the comfort stations, you might not even find one in the park. Was the idea of money that people voted for, because they voted for this this tax on their real estate? Did they truly believe and expect that the money would go to the park to help it insofar as maybe a nice bubbler, the comfort station,
Hey.
a walkway that needs to be repaired, and not to $192,000 for an air conditioning system?
I get it right.
over
That's a
100
matching grant. They got another $192,000
The most
for it.
expensive.
So we're
let's
talking
say
about
it's
CPA, we're
400,000.
talking about the money out of the CPA fund, plus the money that went to a private developer, owner of the Abbey Grill, and he got, what, over $100,000?
200,000.
200, you're saying? $200,000 to
To put a roof on.
private, public money going to a private.
Unjust
What-
enrichment.
What seems to be wrong with this?
What seems to be
Or-
wrong with it is all the people that got projects funded are somehow politically connected.
No, in Fall River?
The CPA committee, it's working like a neighborhood self-interest group. You've got all little cliques, politically connected, getting their shot at the pot. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, money goes to money. And if you look at the demographics, 90% of the money went to the north end, 90% of the money, the high income people live in the north end of the city, and they're all politically there. As Danny said, the reality is look whose spouse runs the facility that got the grant for the air conditioning. Look at
Was
who
the
people are
was
connected.
that air conditioning system put in there for the children, or was it put in there for the adults?
They don't even own the building, Richard.
There you go.
It's a lease.
Case closed. Case closed.
owned
They don't
by
even
the-
own the building. They
it's
don't.
owned by the
Nobody cares.
Commonwealth.
And again, they dupe the public because the public has to begin to educate themselves about this stuff. Because the reality is, if you let government, and especially Fall River City government, touch it, it is gonna be a disaster.
And furthermore, if you're gonna have a CPA, there's too many projects that are dedicated to preservation. I'm frankly sick and tired of the preservationists wanting to save the King Philip Mill, the old police station, buildings that are beyond repair. But some of those members that are preservationists, they'll go to the hilt for preservation.
Preservation's a wonderful thing. The only problem with preservation
It's
is
overdone.
preservation, when overdone, like we are doing here in Fall River, becomes a detriment to economic development. Fall River destroyed any opportunity it had on using its historical buildings back in the 60s and 70s when they started tearing apart downtown. Why do you think they had to film a TV program which got canceled, the Lizzie Borden Chronicles? Because there was no place in Fall River to film it. There was no place because everything looked too modern. They couldn't even get something. So if you're going to do these historic preservation projects, let's do it. But really, this CPA money is good for 4 items. Low-income housing, just what we need because we don't have enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside recreation, outdoor recreation. So they spent $53,000 on a bocce ball court. Do you know what bocce ball is out there? Does anyone have an idea? Because I know there's a huge line for that.
We got the police station, and apparently that is going to go out to bid eventually.
And it is now an economic opportunity area.
All right, what does that mean?
That means tons of tax breaks, which means the city gets nothing for commercial development on it. Tons of state tax money going into pay for the redevelopment and the cleanup. So the taxpayer is going to pay for the cleanup. The taxpayer is going to pay for the redevelopment. The taxpayer is going to pay by not getting any taxes, and the taxpayer is going to take it right in the rear end again.
As soon as we can do it, the CPA should be repealed.
Exactly.
exactly.
And the other issue is that, again, look at
The CPA comes up for, I guess,
2 more years.
and the city people, the city vote on whether they want it or not.
Correct.
Or does it go just before the council?
I'm not sure, but it should be repealed.
It has to be voted on again.
and if
But the money part of it.
If it
has
doesn't,
to
we
be-
will make sure it gets on the ballot. 'Cause I
Right.
can tell you one thing, what I want to preserve right now is some of my money. And that is
So when
not
you
what
say
I
on
want
the
to pay
ballot,
taxes
you're
for.
saying,
Yeah.
in other
We
words,
want to be able to give the opportunity to people
A ballot-
to rewrite a wrong. They understand right now what a waste the CPA is, and let's use our money wisely. They have spent millions of dollars, and it goes to the rich, just like the TIFs, just like everything in this city. They go to the 1%ers. The richest people in this city get their buildings built, they get their TIFs, and they want to keep this city exactly the way it is, downtrodden, because they are making a ton of money with virtually no overhead, and that's the reality of Fall River. And the city council and the mayor are complicit.
Keep them poor, stupid, and you're all set.
So the police station, once again, that's going to be up for bid. Somebody wants to buy that, develop it. Apparently, the city's got, what, 87,000 into it? And
They want $81,000 minimum bid on the property, and then Kathy Ann Vivera said that we'll accept a lower bid if you can give us a valid reason. In other words, I gave the mayor $1,000, my wife gave $1,000, my daughter gave $1,000, and so I only want to pay $1,000 for the building.
They'll never get $81,000
No, they're never
for
going
that
to get it.
building.
Okay, so what do you think?
Site work is going to cost millions to clean it.
Well, I think we'd have a better
Bob?
chance if the three of us got together and wrote down some names and predict who was going to bid on this property.
Oh.
Because I think we would do pretty well with that. I don't know exactly how much they're going to get it for, but they're going to get it for virtually nothing. They're going to pay virtually no taxes, and in the end, they're going to develop nothing. And if they do develop it, it'll be a commercial building that they make a ton of money and pay basically nothing on and make all
Or
the
a
profit.
parking lot.
Or a parking lot, yeah. Which they'll make a ton of money.
Keep these initials in mind. TC or RK?
Yep, bingo.
Well, one of the
question.
relatives.
Oh, one of the relatives, yeah.
Well, there was someone who put a bid in years ago. but,
TC. And Brad Kilby blocked it.
Right.
He wanted more.
He won't block it now, though. He's the assessor.
Yep.
Okay, we got the, this is election year.
No.
No, is it really? You could never tell.
Mayor, school committee, city council, and of course the charter commission. What's going on with the mayor's race? That's the one that
As
always
of
attracts the most attention.
As of 5 o'clock last night, the official candidates on the ballot are Robert L. Alexander, Jazel F. Correa II, Richard M. Renzi,
He's running
Jordan
for-
James Sylvia, and C. Samuel Sutter.
That's correct.
All candidates for mayor.
That's correct, and with all due respect, it's a two-person race.
Okay, and who are the two people?
Jazel F. Correa and C. Samuel Sutter.
So Mr. Correa's been out there. You can see that he apparently is making the rounds. He's getting quite a few signs up, to say the least.
Signs don't vote.
We understand that, but they are out there.
They give a perception of
Yes,
support.
they do.
That's right. What do you think is going on with that race, Dan?
I think
at
it's
this point.
I think it's a two-person race. It'll be very tight, and I'm looking forward to seeing Jazel Correa and C. Samuel Sutter in a one-on-one debate.
Well, it's interesting because we are having a debate on September 16th at the Matthew Cuss Middle School at 6 p.m. It will be broadcast live on Fall River Government Television. It will be broadcast live on FRC Media here on Channel 95 and on the internet. Further, we are currently trying to make that available in 3 languages: English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And if we can find a sign language person, we'll do it in sign language as well.
Oh, that's right. We're really going to bring out the vote this year.
Well, this is the whole point, to get 100% of the people out to vote.
Okay, City Council.
So,
How
I
many
don't get to
candidates-
weigh in on the mayor's race? Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, all right. No, obviously, you talked about, you've seen a lot of, you've seen a lot of Jaysville career out and about. Well, I think it's even a more unique thing that we've actually seen Sam Sutter.
Right.
There have been Sam Sutter sightings, and which were virtually unheard of until the election cycle came up, because nobody could even find him in City Hall. He didn't even know he had a private office built outside the building, and nobody ever saw C. Samuel Sutter. It was like the missing mayor. He was the phantom mayor. And now
he's out
what is
there.
he doing? Giving tennis lessons, playing basketball, handing out hot dogs, and the next thing he'll be doing karaoke or whatever the hell they call it.
And not your average Joes in
and
Seacock.
not your average Joes or something like that. Now he's ubiquitous. He's everywhere. And isn't it amazing what the campaign season will do?
It is.
Okay, we get City Council.
City Council, kind of a long list.
No, you don't have to read all in.
I'm not going to read them all, but I want to highlight some of the.
How about the incumbents? Are they on the list?
Every incumbents are on the
except
list.
Mike Mioza
Except for
and
Mike
James
Mioza.
left career.
Yep.
Okay, so that.
So there are 2. We know that for a fact that there are 2 vacant seats, okay? And you have Steve Long running for the seat that he's currently occupying, although not elected, he was
The
appointed.
Paul De Silva seat.
The Paul De Silva seat. But it's interesting to see some of the names, because guess who's on this list? The creator,
All right, Sean Kadim.
Sean Kadim, the creator of the financial debacle known as the City of Fall River. There's a nice name. Now here's a kicker for a name on there who's on the City
Now,
Council list.
wasn't he chastised by some organization?
Oh yes, he was chastised
Well,
by
I
a
mean-
professional organization.
Oh, the thing is, he's able to run, though. He can still.
Well,
he can run for the office.
Because he left his
Absolutely.
organization.
Oh, okay. The organization has no judicial control. over-
But here's the interesting
legal
part about
control.
these City Council candidates. We have, obviously, Sean Kadim.
Yeah.
Then we have a voice from the past, Stephen Camara.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's another voice from the past.
Yeah.
And of course, I think one of the most interesting ones is Jordan James Sylvia, who's running for City Council, but he's also running for mayor. Now, we know the history of candidates who run for 2 offices at the same time. They don't see 1 office.
No.
So it's going to be interesting.
And I doubt that he had
Let me
a.
see, who else do we have on that list?
Oh, we have a very, very good, you talk about oldies.
Yeah.
Emerald
Gaudette.
Oh, Mr. Gaudette. you got,
Mr. Gaudette was at the city council meeting last night, passing out
Campaign
why we
manager.
should pass a 2.5 override. We can't figure out.
2.5
Yes,
override.
he was supporting telling everybody how it would be the best thing to do to just pass. What are we making a problem for? Just pass an override. Let's give these morons more money to waste. They can't stop spending. They're underfunding the retirement plan for the people who've put tens of thousands of years of service to this city, yet they're spending money on obsolete computers and brown barrels, which is an appropriate color.
But
by the way.
he's not the only candidate to asking for more
Oh, no,
taxes.
but I'm just saying that it's ironic because there's a guy who owns most of the South End
Because he bought it cheap.
because he bought it cheap when he was a city council. Now
Right.
he's running again and again. Isn't it, when you look at the people who support increased taxes, for the most part, you'll find out that they're Fall River's 1%ers. They're the people who make a lot of money, and their mantra is, let's all pay more taxes. I don't mind paying taxes because I make 100 times more
So
than a tax
why
rate.
do they want to pay more taxes? Usually people don't want to spend
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
money. They don't want to.
Well, that's normal people like you and I.
Is that real when they say?
No, it's not real. But what they're doing is they're helping the administration that helps them. It's a quid pro quo.
Right.
And as an attorney, you know what a quid pro quo is.
All right, so-
they go out and say, they're the ones that march up to the city council chamber and sit down there in citizens and said, oh, what is everybody complaining about? It's only $5. What's everybody complaining
Well,
about?
didn't he want
I don't mind paying taxes.
Didn't he want $500,000 to buy a piece of land?
Yeah. And of
So,
course
in
he
other
loves
words-
the mayor because the mayor got, he wanted the mayor to give him $500,000, and these guys all love the mayor. All these people that say that, oh, I don't mind paying taxes. Look at the land deals they've made. Look at the tips they've gotten. Look at the insider trading they've done. It's a quid pro quo.
Okay,
You don't hear
let's
some poor
finish it
bugger,
off.
some poor bugger working for minimum wage crying about, that $5 means a lot to me.
And don't forget Mr. Kensington economics.
Let's finish it off with the Battleship Cove.
The fiasco of fiascos.
What happened down there? Did it work out?
All depends on your perspective, I guess.
Well, give us a.
Richard,
give-
if
give
I'm
us a
gonna
view.
if I'm gonna weigh in, I'll go back to the other issue because I have nothing good to say about the battleship fiasco.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because the battleship thing was an absolute fiasco. But one of the things I think is very interesting is that this list of candidates, and it's not only at the mayoral and the school committee, we see a lot of new faces that we've never seen
All right,
before.
we're getting down to the
I
end
know.
of time
And,
here.
the school committee got Gabe Andre, Sean Connell, Paul Coogan, but I think you got two interesting candidates here, which are probably going to be front runners, and that's going to be Edward Kostar and Paul Coogan.
As I said on the last panel, I believe they'll both be elected, which means two incumbents will be defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay, and you have any idea who might be put out?
Robert Maynard and Paul Hart.
Okay, you heard it from the experts. They're out there the nitty-gritty, right in the trenches, getting all the good stuff that sometimes you don't read about it, you don't hear about it on the radio. They know about it, and they're telling you right now on my show. So I'm happy you watch my program, and I'm going to see you next time.
It's always fun.